I'm still mad at myself for that stupid mistake last season. I was in a hurry to harvest the garlic before the rain, grabbed a shovel, and in half an hour chopped up half the crop into cabbage. I used to think that the main thing was to dig it up before the bad weather, but now I understand that the right tool is more important than speed. The second half of July is the most stressful time for any gardener. Winter garlic ripens right now, and the slightest mistake can ruin the entire crop. Over many years of working the land, I have seen neighbors lose up to a quarter of their heads due to improper harvesting. I remember a case with Petrovich from the neighboring plot. He was in a hurry before his vacation and dug up all the garlic with a shovel in wet soil. The result was disastrous. A fifth of the bulbs rotted within a week. The rest did not keep for long. The first mistake is digging in unsuitable weather. Wet soil sticks to the bulbs, creating conditions for rot. The second mistake is using a shovel instead of a fork. The sharp blade cuts the bulbs in half. The third mistake is the most insidious: rushing and carelessness when digging. Many people think that garlic can be harvested any time in July. This misconception can be costly. Unripe garlic does not store well, and overripe garlic crumbles right in the ground. And the wrong harvesting technique can ruin even a ripe crop. The temperature in July often rises above 30 degrees, and the bulbs in the hot soil become stressed. Therefore, the timing of digging is crucial. Now I will tell you how I learned to avoid all these mistakes and preserve the entire harvest until spring. Shovel versus pitchfork, an experiment on my beds. After that fiasco, I decided to conduct an honest experiment. I selected 2 identical beds with winter garlic of the same variety. I dug the first one with my usual spade, and the second with a regular 4-pronged pitchfork. The result surprised even me. In the first bed, 10 out of 50 heads were damaged. The shovel cut the bulbs like a knife, leaving deep cuts on the sides. Such garlic rots within 2-3 weeks of storage. Another 4 heads received minor scratches, which became gateways for infections. The picture is completely different in the second bed. Out of 50 bulbs, only 2 were damaged, and that was due to my own carelessness. The pitchfork carefully digs up the soil without touching the bulbs themselves. The prongs pass between the bulbs, extracting them whole. The reason is simple. A shovel works with a cutting edge, while a pitchfork spreads the soil. A sharp blade does not distinguish between soil and garlic. The prongs, however, sense an obstacle and go around it. Now I understand why the village elders always dug garlic with forks. The experience of generations does not deceive. But choosing the right tool is only half the battle. You also need to guess the weather and the timing of the harvest. The weather decides everything, when exactly to dig at the end of July. After figuring out the tool, the main question arose: when exactly to dig? Many people rely on the calendar, but this is a recipe for failure. The weather varies dramatically from year to year, and the timing shifts by 10-15 days. The first sign of readiness is the yellowing of the lower leaves on 70% of the plants. Do not wait for the tops to dry out completely. The second is the straightening of the arrows, if you left control ones. The third and most accurate is the bulb test. I dig up one head and look at the scales. Ripe garlic has a dense, dry shell with a slight purple tint. But the main condition is dry weather for 3-4 days ahead. I study the forecast carefully, especially the humidity. If rain is forecast, it is better to wait. Wet soil sticks to the bulbs in clumps, creating a greenhouse effect. There was a case when I started digging in dry weather, but it rained in the evening. I had to urgently move all the garlic under a canopy. The heads that remained in the rain for even an hour were then stored worse. The optimal time of day is in the morning after the dew has dried, around 10-11 a.m. The soil has already warmed up, but is not yet hot. In the heat after 2 p.m., the bulbs experience temperature stress from overheating. Now that we have figured out the timing and weather conditions, let's move on to the most important thing: the correct technique for digging with a pitchfork. The correct technique for digging with a pitchfork. Step-by-step instructions. Having learned to determine the timing, I encountered a new problem. Many people simply do not know how to work with a pitchfork. They think that it is enough to poke the ground and lift. This approach spoils the harvest no worse than a shovel. I use ordinary four-pronged forks with straight tines 25 centimeters long. I stick them into the ground at an angle of 65 degrees at a distance of 15 centimeters from the plant. The main rule is never to dig vertically down, only at an angle. First, I carefully lift the soil without pulling out the bulb. I feel the tines passing close to the head without touching it. Then I turn the fork slightly and dig from the other side. Only then do I carefully remove the garlic along with a clump of soil. I dig up a maximum of 3 beds per day. Haste is the enemy of quality. I examine each bulb immediately after removal. I set aside the damaged ones for immediate use. I don't shake the soil off the heads aggressively. I gently shake them off with my hands, leaving the roots and tops intact. The root system continues to feed the bulb for several more days, helping it to ripen completely. The main mistake beginners make is pulling the garlic by the tops. This can tear the bottom and ruin the head. I dig them up with a pitchfork and pick them up by the bulb with my hands. After mastering the digging technique, the most crucial moment comes: the first few days after harvesting, which determine the fate of the entire crop.